Okay, sawadee dow. Sawadee dow. Welcome back to Water Walk number... Who the hell knows? Oh, the water's flowing fast today. Water's flowing quickly. Oops, I'm hitting the microphone, I think. Let's put her right there. Okay, so how's everyone doing? I think I'm a little bit crooked on the phone camera, but I'm sure we can deal with that. Yeah. So, what's new on the environmental front? Oh, I was just thinking on my way up here. How about even the fact that we say the word environment shows our disconnection from the environment. Well, actually, there's no original thinking there. I'm actually kind of repeating something. Was it Shepherd? Shoot, I can't remember his first name. And he was on this program in the late 80s. Not Thomas Shepherd. Anyway, it doesn't matter. CBC Ideas show that was that they rebroadcast in 2005. One was from the 90s, and the other one was from the late 80s. Both with John A. Livingston speaking, but other people. The one from the 90s was with David Ehrenfeld. Really great show. Actually, I might link it. I'll link them in the Facebook post and the YouTube post, I guess. Because I listen to them often. And even after all these years, right? 2005, I first heard it. I knew about John Livingston before, though, but this particular program, so it's 2019. Geez, that's a long time to be listening to something and still hearing something new each time, you know? Can't really see my face in the shadow, I guess. Yeah, so David Ehrenfeld, and the other one was with John Livingston, Neil Everenden, some guy that used to be a Marxist, but then decided Marxism sucked because it was all about man dominating nature. And then, but he's still kind of, what's his name? Marsh. Can't remember. Damn. Anyway, his take more is like, if we can fix our social ills, then we'll just, as part of that, we'll take care of the environment too. It's an interesting take, actually. It's not my thinking, really, necessarily, but it sounds good. I like it, but I don't, well, anyway, I don't lean towards that kind of Marxist type thinking anyway, so I obviously have a bias on that, so, but he has a funny laugh too. It's a little disconcerting, but that doesn't matter. But anyway, that first one from the late 80s is really interesting. It's like 5 people: John Livingston, Neil Everenden, the guy that does the trumpeter from Victoria University. Trumpeters, anyway, both shows are about deep ecology. So, I've posted them a million times on various places, and I just never, every time I listen to them, basically, I hear something, I guess I heard that before, but didn't sink in, you know? Anyway, blah, blah, blah. I'll just think that. So the other big news, I guess, there's lots of news everywhere, of course. We could go on and on about how Trump is, degrading, cutting protections for the environment and all that. That's not very good. Of course, I don't know if that's anything special that he's doing that. You know what I mean? Like, modern governments have been doing that all along, including the much beloved Obama, I imagine. Well, you know about Obama because, everyone shows their colors, right? Like Trudeau has, and Obama did around that whole water protest or pipeline protest, which is a water protest in the Dakotas, right? Yeah, you kind of knew where his thing is, right? You kind of know who runs the guy and the administration. But what you can't expect the president of the United States to do stuff like that because there's just too many things. Be nice if they did, but you could never expect that. I would never get angry at someone for. I would get angry at someone for kowtowing to the corporate powers, but it's not like it's not like anything you wouldn't expect, right? So why waste your energy on it? Anyway, yeah. But the other thing that's been kind of in the news, but also in my sort of head brain, I guess, is what I'm really talking about, is the whole thing with Greta Thunberg. Well, she's been on her boat. She had a nice boat ride, like I mentioned on my last water walk. Pretty damn exciting, I'd say. It was only 2 weeks, though. Did I say this on my last walk? When I said, "Oh, it's going to be 2 weeks," it's like, damn. My great grandparents probably took them 6 or 8 weeks to get over, and half of them died en route from Ireland. Anyway, whatever. That's past history. And my great grandfather, who was born in Ireland but brought over with his mum his mum Anne Scott Deacon. He was sold. Their father, 3-4 kids, I guess. Their mother, my great whatever grandmother, kind of went crazy. And my grandmother said she thought, because she did a lot of study on that part of the family, and she thought that she thought basically in today's world she would have had postpartum depression after giving birth. And according to my grandmother's story, she got a letter that her dad had died back in the north of Ireland, and she just lost it. She was one of the first inmates in the 999 Queen Street in Toronto. Then she shifted over to an asylum in Hamilton at some point. And I actually, in Toronto, I went to the records and looked up. I saw her signature. It was amazing. And there was a little note beside it from the nurses and stuff. This wasn't a time when I think they were like torturing mental patients. I know there was a window of time when they just treated people with compassion. And anyway, this might have been then. But basically, it sounded like Anne Scott Deacon spent her days crocheting in the hallway, sitting on a nice chair. And she was very, very calm and peaceful. You know what I mean? And no kids, nothing. And there's a reason she never saw her. Well, I think actually my grandmother's grandfather actually visited her once when he was an adult. Anyway, you're coming from probably a pretty poor situation in Ireland. I don't know their situation. I don't know if they'd lost land or whatever. But I think that's not what it was for them. They were living in the northeast, like in Antrim. Anyway, you could speculate till the cows come home, but who really knows? But they landed in Boston, and then they came up to Quebec, and it was really cold, and it was really hard life. Do you know what I mean? And they were just people. They're just people trying to get through their life, right? So every now and then on crazy Facebook, you say, "Oh, everyone that came over, all the Europeans," although in those days we never thought of Ireland as being part of Europe. It was just like we were in Ireland West or something, or they were in Canada East. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like people say, "Oh, their intent was to oppress and destroy the Aboriginal people." It's like, okay, let's be clear. That's what happened, right, over the centuries. Like, disastrous, right? But, okay, no. Like, my ancestors came here and had no clue probably what they were coming into. They probably knew nothing about Native Americans. Well, they heard about the Indians. They're probably just scared shitless all the time because of stories, right? They probably thought, oh, we're going to get scalped the second we land or something. Anyway, but then, the reality kicks in and whatever. But you can see how people's minds spin, right? And they go like fear. Okay, fear, okay? I have to remember fear because next is Greta Thunberg, which we already mentioned. So anyway, so they were just probably terrified because they had no idea what was coming. I mean, there wasn't much in the way of internet in those days. It was all just rumor and newspapers. And anyway, so then they landed and no, sorry, but they didn't land coming here, oh, we're gonna destroy all the native people and take their land. It's like, no, that's not the case. I mean, there were situations where that was going on and it was intentional, right? That's not to be denied, in my opinion. There's a collective thing too, right? And actually, John Ralston Saul does a really great talk with his book, which I can't remember the name of. Basically, there's a certain point of time when things shifted in we're talking about Canada here. We'll just leave states out of it. Who gives a shit anyway? They're gonna do some crazy election and they could be left to their own devices. Although I have many American friends. I love them. So best of luck to y'all. Anyway, so yeah, but in the early days, 1600s into the 1700s, it was a really different situation, right? It was really different. Like the Europeans that were here basically for the fur trade in Canada, I guess essentially, Hudson's Bay Company, Northwest Company, and all that. They were like, oh, we need these people to survive, right? And to be fair, they were bringing over certain things that were amazing, like steel tools and things, right? There might have been a few steel tools coming up from the south, but yeah, I'll tell you, if you're cutting trees down and you have a steel axe, that's like a bit of magic, having cut down things without axes. Anyway, yeah. So he talks about the relationship being quite different, and one really interesting thing is that always swings to my mind because I love things about Gaelic. He says, listen, remember a lot of those Hudson's Bay factors were Scottish actually, and he says the thing you need to remember for a lot of them, English was their second language, right? For a lot of them, they would have been brought up in Scottish Gaelic, right? Highlands and stuff. And keep in mind, a lot of this would be post-Culloden, right? Mid-1700s, crazy battles in Scotland, Highlanders dispersed, all kinds of mayhem. And he says, in a lot of cases, those factors were instructed to try and marry into someone highly placed in the local native tribe. Like an Indian princess, as it were. I'm sure they didn't use the word princess. Anyway, but you get my point, right? And his main point in that is, listen, today we have our own perspective, right? But he says you need to remember that in those days, they were instructed to try and marry into the local native tribe at a high level, and for them, they were marrying up, right? Do you know what I mean? At some point, some guy marrying an Indian woman in the society at large was probably on a status level thought of as marrying down or something stupid like that. But no, in those days it was considered, if you can marry up, it's going to help everything. Your family, your group that you're bringing over. Anyway, it's very complicated, and I'm wildly diverging from my Greta Thunberg topic. Well, it's the best water in the world. So now she's going to do a United Nations thing. A lot of people admire her, and I admire her too. But to me, I think, okay, enough is enough. And I was commenting on some friends' Facebook posts. I should just do my own rather than hijack others. But I don't think it's really, I'm sure, I mean, they tolerate my putting my 2 cents in, but I don't think they appreciate it. That's my sense, but who knows. Anyway, here's the thing. two things. Oh, she's bringing the simple mind of the child to a problem, so we can, and she sees it simply, right? She's not as simple as maybe that implies, I don't think, but she is, she is presenting things in a fairly simplistic manner, which is one thing, right? And the thing is, it's not a simple situation at all. So it could be useful to get very narrow in your perspective and go, oh, this is the problem, this is what we need to do, right? Because it's not a problem. And she's on about climate change mostly, but she does touch on ecological destruction as well, right? But mostly it seems to be climate. The house is on fire. But for me, the main issue really for me is like, okay, enough is enough. She's gonna break from this, and everyone's just riding on her coattails, basically, at some level. Do you know what I mean? And I said, no, what are you, like child abusers or something? This is approaching child abuse to me. I mean, she's doing what she wants to do, and she should continue what she wants to do. That's fine. But let's see, how can I put this? Look, all along, the girl's been saying, look, you guys haven't been taking responsibility, meaning the earlier generations. True. You guys have just been keeping going, trying to do whatever. And in some cases, been very destructive. True. And she says, you need to take responsibility rather than just lay it all on us kids. True. Although, we're going to need the young people this generation if we're going to find our ways through the predicament, which is debatable, but you got to do your best, right? True. Anyway, but it's like, okay, hang on a second. Isn't not all this deification of Greta doing the same thing? Just laying it all on her. Oh, she'll be the catalyst that changes everything. It's like, no, Jesus Christ. She's saying you need to take responsibility. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're doing the same damn thing. You're just like laying it on the name of some kid. Anyway, that's one perspective. I see the other perspectives. I think I see a pretty wide angle about her and stuff. Anyway, it's interesting. It's interesting just in the fact that she's being talked about, right? Which means if she's being talked about, then things such as climate change are being talked about too. Right? Unfortunately, it's all like the Green New Deal thing, which I think is complete nonsense. I mean, it sounds good. Why be negative? What's that? OAC? What's her name? That woman in the States who's kind of spearheading a lot of this? Yeah. Anyway, COA, AOC, OAC, Octavia Annabelle Carnegie. That's not her name. Don't know. Anyway, basically, as I say over and over again, I always go back to John Livingston, which touches on the Ideas Show, and he says in his early 90s program, as far as he can see, the environmental movement is mostly made up of people that want to keep things the same and still get away with it, which is exactly what that is, in my opinion. And on that note, how far are we along here? 20 minutes, wow. Jesus, I can talk for 20 minutes to my phone, but if I get in a conversation with someone and after 20 minutes I'm going, oh, can we stop talking for a minute? There's something in that, but I'm not going to go into it today. Okay, so I might do a bit of walking. This might be it, actually. I might just call it a day now, because we've been having crazy rain. Maybe I'll talk about the rain patterns this year on the next one, if I remember. But yeah, crazy rain. So the trails are very slick. I don't like to carry a camera and try to negotiate the slick trails, but we'll see. I might change my mind. Maybe I'll change my mind on that flat area I love. Okay, so I'm checking in a little bit early because I wanted to show you this This part, this time of year is really wet. It's the overflow from the big concrete cistern. And, oh, it's just bubbling up all over the place. It's coming out up here. This is water here. So this is, during the good part of the year, this is all dry and whatever, but it all goes in there. It's splashing over. It's like flowing over the sides. There's a lot of water going on right now. And then all through here, you see my boots? It's all muddy, muddy, muddy. It's okay though, got the rubber boots. No problem. No problem at all. Love it, in fact. Love all the variety. And there we go. That's where I come. Anyway, yeah, so here we go. Let's walk along. I love this, as I said. Oh, it's starting to rain. Shoot. Okay, I might need to get the umbrella out. Well, good thing I got out here before it started to rain seriously, right? Don't like doing that. Let's switch her. Yeah. Anyway, there we go. Still get a view of the forest. Yeah, so, hey, I've been thinking of this. I don't really have much to say other than to say good ciao for now and see you later. Thanks for listening. Brendan and Su Ching. And the few others that managed to get, these are way too long always. Anyway, appreciate knowing that you're there. But I was thinking of this song by, I think it was the band Perry, and I was, the first year I came out here with my mom, right? My mom was moving here, and she said, hey, do you want to come to Thailand and help me get settled? I'm like, sure, okay. There's the winter coming up. I was getting ready for my first year long ride. Had nowhere to be, really. Okay, I'll go to the tropical country. Anyway, but before going, we came out in January, maybe? December. Anyway, I headed back out to Saskatchewan because that's where I was at Chris and Lyle's place, and I was helping out and doing all the hoof trimming, right, for their horses. And they had about 30 horses, I guess, at their guest ranch. Anyway, but I was taking care of the hooves, and I left there, went back to my mom's, and then before leaving to Thailand, I came out to Saskatchewan to do a final trimming, and that would be the last trim before I got back again, like a few months later, which is a long time for trimming. Anyway, but you have to understand, like, Saskatchewan in the winter, southern Saskatchewan in the winter, is basically the Arctic with longer days, right? Because it's further south. But for the first 4, I was in my tent with had a wood stove though. It's a tent with a stove in it and stuff. It's really great, actually. And I piled up a whole huge pile of wood to last me for when I was back doing trimming. But for those first 4 days, it was like minus 40 and I don't know, like minus 53 Celsius, talking here, minus 53 with the wind chill, right? So I would just go out walking in the morning before trimming, and bright sun. At those temperatures, it's not usually blizzardy, right? Anyway, it's quite dry there anyway, so bright sun bouncing off the snow. It's Arctic. No trees, basically no trees there, hardly. Anyway, yeah, I was walking around. I had a fur mask and everything. I thought, wow, if I trip and knock myself out for an hour, that's me done, right? I'll just be a solid block of ice by the time anyone finds me. Anyway, yeah, so I was thinking, there's this song, it was so emotional, right? Because I just loved being on the prairie, and someone had come out to do a little video. Anyway, yeah. But there's this song by the band Prairie called If I Die Young, right? I don't know if you know it. It's a country tune. It's like, there's this one line, but the song kind of goes, if I die young, bury me in satin, lay me down on a bed of roses, take me to the river at dawn, send me away with the words of a love song, something like that. Sorry, I'm missing the tune. But there's this other line, is like, and it goes, I'll just speak it. Penny for your thoughts. Penny for your thoughts. Oh no. Penny for your thoughts. Oh no. Let's call it for $1. Oh shoot, now I can't remember. Penny for your thoughts. Oh no. Blah blah blah, $1. Life is something like life is worth so much more after you're a goner. It's just like, oh my god, that's hilarious and sweet. Anyway, it's a very sweet song, and for some reason I was emotionally invested in it. Like, who can say why, right? Because that kind of thing, there's no rationality involved whatsoever. Anyway, enough of that. I talked about Greta and my thing. Maybe I should write an article. I'll try and remember to link the CBC articles, which I have on my YouTube page, actually. Anyway, hope everyone's doing great. À la prochaine. Probably Lego Popcorn. See you next week. This is it. Penny for your thoughts. Oh no, I'll sell them for $1. They're worth so much more after you're a goner. Anyway, have a great week, everyone. Ciao. Okay, look at this. I'm on the road. I don't usually do my videos on the road. I usually leave it to the being on. I mean, it's a road, but look. I mean, you can hike up the road all the way up to the ridge and just like be so beautiful anyway, but I usually just stick to the forest and then cut it out. But I forgot about mentioning something about Greta as part of my Greta rant, you know. Greta focused rant, I should say. Not ranting about her, but about the spin around her. Anyway, part of it is, there's a thing, let's see, how can I put this? Part of her sort of meme thing is, I'm terrified and I want you to be too. Okay, I get it. You need to see how serious the situation is. But look, if some adult came to me and said, do you know what? I'm terrified and you need to be too. I just go, you know what? Just go fuck off right now. Don't tell me what to do or how to be, right? But I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna respond that way to a 16-year-old, although I sort of just did. Sawadee ka! ไปไหน?
ซื้อกับข้าว
Oh, กับข้าว Yeah. Okay. Get rice. Get lunch, basically. Yeah, so this is a real problem, right? Okay, and I've been studying for my 4th Dan exam, but part of it's written, right? We have to just talk briefly about Shikaki Waza, which is like initiated attack Waza type thing, and Shikai. Shikai is often referred to as the 4 sicknesses, right? Things like confusion, fear. Obviously, I need to learn them more better. I know them, I just can't think of the words right now, because they're all the things that come in when we practice kendo, right? All these self-doubt. That's another one. There's one more that'll come to me. Anyway, that we always have to be conscious of, because they just come in and they freeze you, you know, and you can't move. And the one here that I'm referring to, which I can't remember the name of in Japanese, but is fear. And this is what I've mentioned on other posts, right? Fear is a terrible, terrible position to go from in a situation like we may be dealing with now on an ecological scale, climate, etc. Right? Very, 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 very bad. Nothing good will come of it, right? So that's my main, how can I put it? My main, I want to say issue, but what other word could I use? I'm not saying, I don't want to say problem either. Sawadee ka! Car's coming. Sawadee ka! Sawadee man. Yeah, anyway, saying hello. Those are the guys making the new place across from Pizza Town's place. Anyway, they got some money behind them, I think. Anyway, yeah, so it's a really, really, really bad situation. In my opinion, Well, I really think that Greta should just do what she needs to do, continue on, but the heavy focus on her needs to be let go of, because there's no way someone at that age and also her general state of being is going to be able to handle it. I don't think. I mean, maybe she will. Some people think she will. I don't think so. Anyway, but this is a fear thing. How about I'm terrified, you need to be too, but now we need to get over it and get going, right? We need to touch into the idea, which is, I was talking with my sister Gung yesterday, which is a Buddhist idea, but not just. It's a universal probably, but it's really, really often mentioned in Buddhist stuff. I'm not an expert, but the idea of right action despite not knowing the outcome of it, right? And that's, Guy McPherson refers to that. To me, there's a lot of really interesting, great stuff that Guy does, right? But to me, that simple statement that he says all the time is really powerful and important, vital maybe even. Oops, car's coming. And yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's the fear thing. The fear thing. We can't move forward in a state of fear. In a state of fear is a mouse being confronted by a snake. It just freezes. Or a human being confronted by a snake. You freeze. And there's good reason to freeze, actually. Right? Connect with motion and stuff. Oh, it's busy. Oh, it's Sunday, that's why. I forgot it's Sunday. Saturdays and Sundays can be quite busy up here, you know. It doesn't affect me at all because my house is tucked away. Not my house, going in Piet's house, tucked away. And then I go on the trails and no one goes there. Hey! He said, nam no? Saying, oh, go and get water, eh? Canadian. Anyway, I'm going to sign off now. I have to go down this steep thing. It's slippery. Okay, anyway, I just wanted to add that. It's making this quite long, but whatever.